Hello and welcome to Total Exact Solutions tutorial on how to place a radio spot buy. In order to place a radio spot buy, I'm going to access our media buying area just by tapping on the media buying menu icon found within your menu system. When AdVenture opens, it will automatically take me to the open screen, which allows me to open a proposal that I've saved on my computer as a scratch pad. It will allow me to open a proposal that's been sent to me by an agency so that I can check availabilities and reach and frequency calculation, or it will allow me to open an existing proposal that I might have previously saved to my AdVenture system. But for now, I'm going to create a new radio spot buy by clicking on the New button under the File menu. And when I click on New, it will bring me into our buying header. And our buying header is effectively a wizard that allows me to select the stations I'd like to include. It allows me to nominate the start date and the length of my campaign. It allows me what spot durations I'd like to choose and what types of spots I'd like to incorporate in my campaign, as well as which customer, the contract they're associated with, ratings and demographic information. But for now, I'm going to choose the stations that I'd like to include. If I know the network that I would like to include in this campaign, I simply type a couple of letters of the network name and it will display to me all of the radio stations that belong within that network. To add a station to this list, I can simply tap the station to turn it on or tap the station to turn it off. And you'll notice each time I do that the stations are reflected over here in my order preview. Additionally, I'm going to go into my start date area and I'm going to select a campaign start date of the 17th of October and I'm going to run the campaign for a 3-month duration. If my durations don't fit neatly into one of these periods, I can change the duration from within the booking itself. I'm now going to go in and choose the durations and avail types, and you can see that right now I can choose a 30-second avail or a 15-second avail. And I can choose the avail type that I'd like to bring through as a plain commercial, a live read, or even a sponsorship that tend to be fairly popular in our radio groups. And finally, I'm going to choose the customer. Just by tapping on the customer, you'll see that customer is now reflected in my order preview and will allow me to apply those details to my buying header or my media buying so that I can now go in and receive from the system a color-coded avails heat map. Now what AdVenture is doing right now, it's going out to your traffic system and it's checking on the criteria that I've entered into my buying header for the stations and the day parts and the avail types, and it will display back to me a color-coded screen that tells me where I have availability and where I'm getting light on availability, or in fact where I may even be sold out. So this screen is coming directly from your traffic system, and right now I have only chosen the morning drive day part. I can use my flyouts on the right hand side of the screen here to choose more than one session, so I could potentially choose my midday day part as well. And you can see then that I'm starting to really build up the number of spots that I can purchase from within my system. Now at the moment I have selected both my 15-second duration as well as my 30-second durations. Once again, I can use my flyout here and select just the durations that I'd like to place the spot by for, and that will now shrink down this area so that I'm looking just at the 30-second durations and the availabilities of those spots. In addition to that, if I want to, I can change from the commercial avail type to live read or sponsorship, and I have the ability to adjust my overall campaign time, so I could shorten this up to being a 2-week campaign if I want to. I can flight the weeks on and off here, and I can choose which days I'm going to purchase spots against. You'll notice that in this particular instance I've turned off Saturday and Sunday. Now in order for us to place spots within this grid, I can simply click on a grid cell and drop and drag to be able to purchase an entire week at a time. So to do that, I can just right mouse click and choose to add, say, 5 spots across every one of those day parts on both of those stations in the week. But it's not always that you want to select an entire block, so some customers deliberately want to see a spot placement of their choosing, And in that case, you can come through and simply select the first cell you wish to purchase. And by holding down the control key, you can then randomly select other cells that the customer tells you they would like to purchase. And by doing this, you're actually purchasing a couple of spots or more than one spot in each of these grid cells, just by clicking on the Add a Spot button in the top left-hand corner. Now once we've done that, we've got a spot placement that's happening where we've purchased a block in the first week and some random spots in the second week. So now what we can do, apart from our flyouts that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, we can also have a flyout at the bottom of the screen, and this is our media summary. And as we go through and calculate or add in the spots that we are selling, you'll notice that the media summary is automatically building up for us a total spot value, our average unit rate. It's also showing us what our CPM is, what our reach and frequency details are, our weekly cum, and our potential. And every time we add spots in, I'll just add a couple more spots into that second week, you'll notice that the media summary is automatically updating and changing the values. Now, in addition to the media summary, what we might choose to do is to come up here to our View button and turn on and off certain information within the cells. Because my current booking doesn't contain any bonus spots, I'm going to turn off the bonus information stored within the cell. And because I have my thousands, my audience information in the media summary, I'm also going to turn off the thousands information. And you can see then that I have quite a simplified grid that shows me just how many spots I've purchased and what rate I'm purchasing those spots at. Bearing in mind that AdVenture is a fully capable yield management solution, so as my day parts are selling out, my rate will increase or decrease accordingly to try and generate more demand. Now I'll just leave you for a moment to take a look at all of the options that you can turn on and off in the cell display to give you the maximum amount of information or the most relevant information for you. And then I'll show you just one or two other things within our spot buy. So if the customer wanted to specifically purchase a time, say the morning news, then what you could do is come into the system and click on an Add Preferred Time. And when you do that, the system will open our Add Preferred dialog box, and it will allow you to choose from the particular session the avail type that you want to choose, a specific spot type associated with it, the duration of the spot, and the actual preferred time. So we could take this down to say 8:45 a.m. We can do that just by keying the details in, or we can use the up-down arrows on the right-hand side. We can give this preferred time slot a specific name. So this could be morning news. And because this is booked at a very specific time, a restricted time within your traffic system, we can add a loading on the rate. The customer's now paying 50% more for that add preferred time. And you'll notice that once we've done that, we've now got our preferred time sitting in here. And again, we could go through and place a specific spot in every one of those days within that first week. And you'll notice that we have added a 50% loading on that rate from the midday session. Now, in addition to that, of course, even though we're talking about spot buying, we understand that there are often times where you need to also sell what we would call a non-spot item. And these tend to be things like events or production recoveries. So if we had an event of, say, an outside broadcast, then we would just type in outside broadcast van here, and we would go through onto our buying cell, and we'd simply select one of those to be purchased in our overall campaign. And finally, we'll go and visit our order details themselves. And we can see this screen is actually giving us all of our customer information, as well as giving us the ability to type in a description for this order. And additionally, we can see all of the order details that we've just placed for both of the stations, including our airtime, our preferred time, as well as our non-spot item, the outside broadcast van. And once you're happy with the order, what you can do is to simply come through and print off an authority to broadcast document. That authority to broadcast document is created in an Excel format, and that format is user defined. So you can now open that up in Excel, and you can see that I've got both of my stations listed, one on each worksheet. This one, of course, containing our outside broadcast van and just our standard logo information at the top of the screen. But if you're not keen on the Excel version of that document, what you may choose to do is to print off our Word document. And the Word document is just more in a letter format and allows you to create a softer proposal document for your customer that allows you to send through a "Dear Sir, thank you for your time today. We'd like to show you the details of the proposal that we've booked. So, dear Senior Manager, thank you for your details. Here's your average unit rate. We still give you blocking charts, but now we also give you the ability to include some graphical information about where the dollar spend has gone across the two stations." Once you're happy with that information, you can either choose to come back here and save this proposal away until the customer sends you back the authority to broadcast, or if the customer has approved the proposal immediately, then what you can do is simply send this down to traffic by clicking on the Send button. And when we click on the Send button, AdVenture will go out to your traffic system. It will format this order into the correct format that can be easily ingested by traffic. And on our customer details screen, we now have the order number that you can use to follow and track this order throughout your traffic system and throughout the approval and process stage. And that's the way you take an independent spot buy within the AdVenture system. Thanks for your time.